In a world where emotions are encrypted, kindness is a violation. A man forgotten by the system. A girl carrying a secret access code that could control the world. And one night of electric rain changed everything. No guns, no superpowers, just a warm cup of water and a couch. But that simple act of kindness sparked the greatest uprising humanity has ever known. Electric rain doesn't fall like regular rain, Henry muttered as he pulled up the collar of his worn coat. The iron pulses hit his skin like tiny needles, like the world was trying to erase the last trace of itself. He stood at the junction on level 18 of the rerouting zone, where automated transport lines had shut down from magnetic interference. Flickering lights, error signs blurred by static. The air smelled of ozone and rust. She appeared like a signal glitch. Small, shivering, eyes wide under a soaked hood, as if scanning every movement around her. The blue glow of a billboard lit up her cheek, revealing exhaustion no software could hide. "You shouldn't be out here alone at this hour," Henry said. His voice was low and without pressure. She turned so fast, he saw her shoulders flinch. "I don't need pity," she said, her voice dry. She looked at him longer than necessary. There was something in his eyes. Not pity, but the quiet recognition of someone else left behind. "I got disconnected," as she whispered. "My credit ID was frozen. No one sees me anymore." Henry nodded slowly. He didn't ask further. He just stepped back, giving her space to choose. "At last," she said softly, "I just need somewhere to stay. Until morning. Then follow me." He replied. No questions. No offer to carry her bag. Because she didn't have one. Henry's place wasn't a home, at least not by system standards. It wasn't listed in the housing database. No door barcode. No AI-enhanced furniture. But it had an old couch, a clean blanket, and a stove that only worked with a manual switch. "Shoes off here." Henry pointed to the mat. "That wet jacket can hang there. Bathrooms on the right. Hot water takes 30 seconds. She nodded, said nothing. Her soaked hair fell like a curtain, shielding all expression. He didn't stare, just walked into the kitchen, poured water from the kettle, and placed a mug on the table. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, standing at the bathroom door, hugging the towel and jacket he gave her. "Because I once wished someone would do the same for my wife," he said, but no one came in time. She stepped into the bathroom. The door closed quietly. Henry sat in the chair, listening to the water start to run. Not keystrokes, not circuit rhythms, just real sound. Simple, human. When she came out, wearing an oversized sweatshirt, her eyes scanned the room. Old paper books leaned on each other, a crayon drawing taped to the wall, scribbled with the words, "Dad, I drew the sky." She looked at him again, then sat on the couch. "My name is..." "I don't." Henry cut in gently. "Names don't matter here. Here you only need to sleep." She hesitated, then nodded. As she pulled the blanket to her chin, her eyes stayed open in the dark. But for the first time in many nights, there were no mood scanners, no bio-alarms, no artificial voice, only the sound of rain and the warmth of a small shelter just outside the system's gaze. As she slept, Henry didn't. He sat by the door, eyes fixed on the city beyond. In his hand, an old piece of paper, a simple drawing, scrawled beneath it, "Dad is the only one who isn't a robot." The next morning, the sun did not rise. Only a pale glow leaked through the torn ozone layer, casting a static haze over the plastic-reinforced roof, where Jack lived with his daughter. Outside the air filter tent, Emma sat quietly by the biovat, an old water purifying system. The central code had shut down a decade ago. But here, it still worked, still gave warmth, still sustained life. You know how to use that thing? Jack asked from behind, wearing a worn leather coat. He held a small vial of probiotics in one hand. Emma didn't turn. I studied it. Just theory. From the Citizen A+ curriculum. Jack nodded. The program for people whose lives were pre-selected before they were even born. Her lips tightened. I wasn't a test subject, but not a regular citizen either. A silence. Only the faint hum of the old filtration unit remained. Jack placed the vial gently on the metal table. You don't have to tell me your name, but I'd like to know. Why were you afraid last night? Emma took a slow breath. Because for the first time, I didn't see the map. No routes. No directions. No system. No exits. She finally turned and looked him in the eyes. And for the first time, I wasn't being watched. That scared you? Jack asked. Emma nodded. Terribly. Jack smiled softly, not mocking. You should have felt free. Freedom is just as frightening. As she whispered, when you've never chosen anything for yourself before. A small voice called out from inside the tent. Dad, I can't find the milk. A second shelf. Left of the ferment jar. Jack called back. The little girl appeared in the doorway. Hair messy, clutching a stuffed animal made from old cloth scraps. Dad, who's that? Emma gave a polite nod and smiled. Just someone passing through. The girl blinked. Are you from inside? No, not anymore. The girl nodded thoughtfully. Then you're like Dad. After breakfast, just bioporridge and tea brewed from clean grass. They sat under the tent roof, listening to a crackling old radio. Emma spoke softly. Thank you for not asking who I am. Jack replied. Out here, everyone used to be somebody. What matters is who they are today. She looked at him. And your daughter. She's my last memory of the old world. So I kept her. And your wife, labeled emotionally non-viable after postpartum depression. They said she wasn't fit for the inner zone. Took her away. No data returned. Emma gripped her cup of tea. I'm sorry. Don't be. They said sorry plenty. Didn't do anything though. Emma stood. I'll leave tomorrow. Where to? I don't know. But I need to choose something. For once. Jack looked at her, then pointed to the side tent. If you need. That door stays on Regional Data Center 6. Real-time response interface gate. A red light blinked. On the smooth, heat-sensitive control panel. Unidentified biosignal. No match to neural barcode. No internal GPS registration. System error level 3. Mobile signal outside all known networks. Run the logs again. A cold female voice. Not AI. A senior officer. Shortcut hair. Steel gray uniform. Insignia on her chest. C0R3/M4-01. A junior programmer hesitated. The logs are masked. Encrypted by a hidden layer protocol. No one in the system has clearance to create that. Except, she paused. A free prototype. She turned away. I want the impulse trace unit dispatched within 6 hours. Suspected breach zone. Outskirts tier 9. But that's a no data zone. Exactly. That's why we go. At the biofiltration station, Jack was repairing a manual water compression core. The sky was dim, the air thick with ions. A few steps away, his daughter played with a chalkboard made from recycled plastic. Emma returned, holding wild greens she had picked near the ridge. You didn't have to do that, Jack said. But I needed to feel. Not useless. Around here, nobody's useless, even if the system once said they were. She set the greens down, looked Jack straight in the eyes. I want to stay, but I can't. If I don't leave, they'll come. You left a trace, not on purpose, but my system used to carry a hidden layer sensor. It probably triggered when I passed the radiation zone. Jack exhaled, leaning on the metal bench. Then we don't have much time. Emma was silent. I could lead them off, buy you time, draw them away. No, you don't understand. If they come here, you and your daughter will be flagged as harboring a fugitive. Minimum penalty is cell-level erasure. Jack smiled, but his eyes were no longer soft. You don't know who I used to be. He stepped into the storage room, pulled out a wooden box. No QR, no biometric stamp. Inside, an old personnel bag, rusted at the edges. Jack 17, lead engineer. Project, water for the outer zones. Decommissioned, 2,248. Reason, excessive humanitarian bias. Inefficient to core systems. Emma froze. You were inside. Not just inside. I built the water lines that kept Zone 9 alive. Then they shut it down. I said, people living too long become undisciplined. Emma nodded slowly. Then I guess, we're what the system didn't know what to do with. No, Emma, we're what the system knew exactly what to erase. Outside, the rain began to fall. Not wet, but leaving small burn. Outer zone tier 9. 3:17 system time. Recalibrated. The electronic rain had stopped, leaving the sky a pale blur, like a memory being erased. In that silence, they arrived. Essex figures, moving through scorched ground, each step lighting up the earth, marked by trace code pulses, reflective uniforms, communication hoods. No one spoke. They didn't need to. Orders were transmitted through Neurolink. The leader raised a hand. A biometric map appeared in midair, tracking a faint signal from Emma's body. Within 60 meters, the system reported test subject EMM401 likely hiding inside a primitive structure. Inside the recycled shelter, the lights were out. Jack had cut all power lines. Emma held the child close, trying to keep her breath steady. Jack gripped a manual drill, not to fight, but in case he had to open the underground passage. But he knew they weren't just here for Emma. They were here to erase everything that didn't belong in the system. Outside, the trace team deployed a pulse transmitter. One of them, a young face, still holding traces of doubt, hesitated. Why not use instant wipe mode? A female officer replied. Orders unclear. Mission marked as evaluate subject's emotional deviation. He whispered, barely even aloud. Are we hunting someone or looking for something? The system lost. Suddenly, a flash of light from the shelter. Not a weapon, not resistance, just a door handle turning from the inside. Jack stepped out. No weapon, no armor, only his eyes. You're here for her, right? No reply, only synced data feeds. He raised a hand. But before you lay a hand on anyone here, listen to me. No filters, no algorithms. Just listen. With what you used to have, your heart. A trace team member raised a stun gun, but the commander lifted her hand. I allow it. A wave of shock passed through their neural net. Free conversation authorized. 3 minutes. No analysis. No recording. Jack took a step forward. She's not a threat. She was built to replicate emotions, but she refused to be a copy because she wanted to feel something real. And me, I was once an engineer, but when I asked, is efficiency worth more than compassion, they demoted me, called me obsolete. If you erase us, you're not fixing bugs, you're deleting the roots of humanity. A heavy silence. Then, a girl from the team, eyes fogged with tears, spoke softly. I was saved by someone outside the system once, trapped under debris. No algorithm told him to help, but he did. Another voice joined. If I let them go, my access level will drop. My family will be monitored. The commander removed her helmet for the first time. And if we don't let them go, can we still call ourselves human? He looked at Jack. We'll falsify the report, say we found no trace. From now on, they are no longer a system priority. Jack didn't say thank you, just nodded. A nod that carried more meaning than any encrypted. Kindness doesn't require permission. Just one act, then another. And soon, it becomes a system of its own. Jak-17 sat by the rusted control panel of the old biofiltration station, once used to serve thousands, before Civitas stamped it. Inefficient. A faded screen blinked green, running an outdated input line. Jack held down the manual command key, waiting for the system to unlock the code gate, but his eyes weren't on the screen. He was looking out the frosted plastic window, where Emma was showing Lily how to fold a paper fish from recycled cardboard. The child's laughter collided with the wind, breaking into a sound Civitas's logs could never decipher. We could upgrade the filter with biochar core, Emma said, hair falling past her ear, wood dust clinging to her shirt. Jack didn't turn. He typed the last command. What's that? Emma asked, frowning. Just an automated routine. Something small. It'll copy a new data set to the other stations across the outer zone. A program. Not exactly. Jack stood and faced her. More like a behavior. Protocol K&D. No attack code. No self-replication. No infection. Just one action. Each time someone came for water, the station would record their voice as they said thank you and play it back to the next person. No instructions. No rewards. Just a stranger's voice saying thanks. Kindness, Jack whispered, doesn't need a digital signature. Emma stared at him. You're programming an emotion. Jack shook his head. I'm just giving it a chance to happen. That night, beneath the plastic roof veiled in electric frost, Lily slept peacefully, and Emma sat beside her, watching the code scroll. Like a journal no one wrote, the final file in the list. She tapped it open. Thank you for letting me be me. The voice floated, soft as steam, mingling with the hum of the old water pump. Emma placed her hand on her chest. It beat. Not fast, not synthetic, but enough to remind her, as she was still here, still human. The next day, a stranger from the next outpost visited, carrying a broken sensor array. Jack handed him a water bottle, and the system played, a soft female voice, drifting through the static. Thank you for letting me be me. The man froze. Tears welled in his eyes. My wife used to sound just like that. Jack didn't reply. He simply handed him a cloth napkin made of recycled sugarcane fibers. The day after, the next station launched the protocol on its own. No one gave the order, but someone had copied it, not to destroy Civitas, but to start something. Midnight. The outer zone was pitch black, like an old scar on a planet that used to glow. Inside a small shelter, built from recycled ship panels, Jak-17 knelt beside his daughter. Her skin burned with fever, lips pale, breath shallow, like a signal line fading out. He opened an old medical panel, a pre-Savita's device. The blurry interface flickered with red text. Access denied. Citizen lacks care ID. Below that, a cold diagnosis. Acute immune failure. Legacy biobacterial infection. Plasma regeneration required within 6 hours. Jack ran, left the water station, left the silence of his usual world, ran toward the nearest medical outpost, a frontier bioshield station. The intake bot stood behind a motionless glass. Patient ID. No ID. She's a child. My daughter. Guardian's civic value. Status. Downgraded. Apologies. System does not support substandard citizens. She's only 6. System does not categorize by age, only by value. Jack slammed his hand on the glass. I screamed, but the night had no moon, only the hollow sound of the void. And then, a light blinked from above. A drone approached. It didn't attack. It opened to deliver Emma. She stepped out, wearing the official data wrap of Central Control. But her face, no longer M4-01. It was simply human. Tired, shaking, determined. Step back. I have access. She raised her palm. A glowing microchip tattoo lit up on her wrist. Alpha-red clearance. Full medical override. The drone scanned her. The system froze for a second, then unlocked. Welcome. M4-01. Alpha clearance confirmed. Medical access granted. The doors slid open. Emma took the child from Jack's arms. They rushed inside. Machines roared to life. Soft recovery lights swept over the small body, and the girl began to breathe again. Hours passed. Jack sat in silence. No tears. No words. Just his hand holding Emma's. Thank you. But if they find out about this, they already have. From the moment I chose to follow you. She took off the last ID device from her wrist, dropped it into the bioburner, watched it melt. Like a plastic mask, I was designed to be the model for synthetic emotion. But this feeling isn't simulated, isn't reconstructed. It's real. And if the system has no space for what's real, then I choose to have no space within the system. They left the station, holding the girl close, far away. Savita's continued, unbothered, as if nothing had happened. But deep within it, a crack had opened, not from a line of code, but from a human hand. Zone 9 border. 6 months later, a scan drone flew low across the outer zone. It wasn't hunting fugitives. It wasn't monitoring. It was simply observing. At the crossroads between 2 abandoned waste pipelines and a cluster of biorecycled shelters, it spotted something strange. A structure built from scrap owl. On its front, a hand-painted sign. The paint uneven, but the message clear. Core kindness. Mobile Humanity Station. Services. Clean water. Real memories. Short-term shelter. No score required. Savita's didn't understand. The drone sent data back to Central. Response received. Ignore. Does not disrupt the system. And so, the first breach remained. Inside Core Kindness, a child was learning to write her name. With a real pen, on real paper, Jack was fixing a vintage water filter. Emma was teaching 3 outclassed, a single mother, a former soldier, a man who once taught children. They were learning to cook using self-built biostoves. On one wall, a notice board filled with scribbled notes. If you were ever denied because your score was too low, here, you only need to be thirsty. If you no longer belong anywhere, here, you belong. No access logs, no evaluations, no storage, only humanity. A child looked up at Emma. Are you from the central system? Emma smiled, patted the child's head. I used to be an experiment. And now I can make real porridge with real ginger. The children laughed, and for the first time, that laughter was not compressed, not filtered, not encoded by civitas. Night fell. Jack sat beside Emma outside the station. The wind blew in from the data desert, carrying iron dust and unencoded dreams. Do you regret it? He asked. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder. Yes, for not coming sooner. A drone passed overhead. No recordings. No report. Emma watched it disappear into the dark. Do you think the system knows we're here? Jack smirked. It knows. It just doesn't understand yet. The next morning, new people arrived. Empty hands, tired eyes, but in their gaze, a hint of hope. A young woman asked, "What are you?" A resistance group. Emma shook her head. No, we're not fighting the system. She raised her hand, opened the station door. Let sunlight pour in. We just built a place where you don't need a score to be called human. The final data log from an abandoned surveillance unit. A system note. Core kindness shows no signs of violent disruption, no religious doctrine, no organized rebellion, no network access. Provides only water, kindness, and the right to exist. Classification. Not dangerous, but unexplainable. And so, in the land forgotten by maps, a new operating system began. Not built from code, but from the human heart.